Hey team, Jen here. Welcome to week 6. We are past the midway point, and I hope that as we go forth in this course right to the end, that you are doing the kind of reflective work that I asked you to do in week 5 by taking a look at the comments and the kind of feedback that you've received from me, and also taking into account your own assessments of your performance in the class, what you expected to get from this class, and how you can um, kind of manipulate the rest of the course to be the most help for you as you continue to grow as a writer and as an intellectual in this course. As we come into week 6, we leave behind Bronte's Villette. Unfortunately, I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I really liked the conversations that I was seeing in the forums, and I really look forward as well to the paper that you're writing about Villette. But as we move into week 6, we encounter poetry, and the Victorians were notorious for their poetry. We're going to be reading some Tennyson, some Hopkins, some Arnold. I'm not a big Arnold fan, but we're going to be reading a lot of poetry this week that is going to give you a sampling of the kind of verse that was predominant in the Victorian period and the verse that Victorians themselves really loved and gravitated toward. I'm really interested to learn about your own feelings toward this poetry, particularly if you write poetry yourself or if you enjoy reading poetry. I'm interested to know what you think about some of these Victorian poets, and especially if you are interested in romantic poetry. I would like to see maybe a student or two in this class do some comparisons between some of the romantic poetry that was popular and these Victorian poems that were popular as well. So if you're interested in that, that could be something to write about this week in our week 6 forum on poetry. This week for the forum focuses on Matthew Arnold's poetry and asks you to compare his actual writing of the poetry to his theory of poetry. Now, whenever you get into that kind of tricky comparison between reality and theory, you're going to have some slippery and surprising observations to make, no doubt. But keep in mind that you never need to write to the prompt in this class as long as you are making a critical observation about something that you really care about. So with that in mind, that whole idea of that dichotomy or that polarization between actuality and theory is something that, it really comes to play in Victorian texts, particularly in poetry. So don't feel like you need to stay focused on Arnold, although with Arnold, that kind of polarizing might be a little bit more apparent than with others. But if you could keep that theme in mind of the kind of theory versus action or theory versus reality, kind of as a motif to carry you through the discussion forums this week, that could be fruitful if perhaps that theme speaks to you in any way. Also here in week 6, if you are in the group 3 wiki, your wiki is due this week. And this wiki focuses on the poetry that we read for the week, and it asks you to find a resource. So to do some exploratory research and to find a article or really any other artifact that you find fruitful, useful, interesting, to do a close reading or to do an analysis on one poem of your choice from the readings. I do want to make a note, though, about the wikis as we go forth, because as we know, they are tough. They're uncomfortable for many of us. I have posted a link for the Wiki group evaluation form, which I encourage you to fill out if you are a member of a group and you have some feedback to offer me that you'd like me to see when I sit down to consider the grades for the Wiki. This worksheet is optional. There's no need for you to do it, but I will wait to grade your Wiki until I have heard back from people in the group. I want to make sure that I give enough time for that reflective process to take place before I think about assigning grades for the Wiki projects. So if you are a group member who would like to chime in, tell me a little bit about what your experience has been like in the Wiki, particularly if you feel like your voice went unheard, if you didn't like the operations in the Wiki, if there was a certain group member that tried to boss everybody around, or if there was a particular group member who really was lackadaisical and didn't really seem to carry her own weight. Those are the kind of things that I want to know about. But I don't only want to know about the bad things. I also care about the good things. I want to know what went right with your group Wiki and what you learned from it if you thought that it was a fruitful process. So go ahead and make sure that you fill out that worksheet, or you could just send me an email with your thoughts. It doesn't have to be formal, but I do want to get some feedback. If you're willing to offer that, it's very helpful when it comes to collaborative work. Let's see. Yes, I think that's it. I'm going to continue doing my grading of your papers and of your work in general this week as we go along. I hope that you will continue to come to my office hours if you want to unpack any of these texts a little bit more. Now is the time to really start thinking about what you care about concerning the Victorian era and what kind of paper you'd like to write. I can help you to brainstorm ideas. I can help you to move toward that final paper. Many students have already been benefiting from coming to office hours and just simply having a conversation. It's a lot of fun. I hope that you guys have a phenomenal week, and I hope you enjoy that poetry. One more thing before I go. If the spirit moves you, I encourage you this week in the forums to make a video of yourself or an audio recording, if that's more comfortable, of you reading one of your favorite poems from this week's readings. It's so nice to hear a human voice read a poem. I don't know about you, but I just like to close my eyes and listen to that. If you could treat us to that this week, that would be wonderful. Hope you guys have a great week. Bye for now.